strongly this week, but particularly today is the new moon in Cancer. And we've got that cradle of the 4 planets also happening, right? So the 4 planets at 4 degrees is, the number 4 is all about foundation, right? And foundation around our family, right? And the family that you come from, but then also the family that you are creating for yourself. And the energy of 4 and foundation in Cancer is also the sign of Cancer talks about home, right? But home is also our heart, right? And what it is that we're building upon that, right? So it's this whole building on a strong foundation, and it's all of this building on our heart and what we love and what we're passionate about and what we're building on and building upon. So there's such a beautiful energy this week of us going back home. And then of course you stepping into your dynasty frequency is that, right? That regal energy of stepping into being bigger, being better, not being stuck and recycling what perhaps in the past could feel like, oh, like I come from this family, or I feel like my family has somehow entrapped me in their energy, or how I need to show up for them. So that all of that being seen, right? Because then we've talked about the Jupiter in Leo, which is the sun, and it's all right here, and we can see it. And what I'm hearing is that there's no escaping this. Like, you can't get away from, this is the reality, right? Is to see the reality. And then we've talked about even the Neptune in retrograde, which is in Aries, right? Taking action of what's right in front of you, and not pretending that the illusion is the truth, but actually seeing the truth, right? This is matter of fact. This is how it is. This is how I'm setting up my life. This is how, something that has been very, very clean and empowering that I want to bring up, right? Because you've done such a beautiful job around that. And I feel that you've both done such a beautiful job around that. And what I've seen in people that have not been transparent or honest with their partners, and that whole cheating energy, or avoiding the truth, or not saying how you feel, like cleaning all of that up has also been so magical. So I believe that part of this foundation around home and family is also, let's just be honest. Let me tell you how I feel. Let me tell you what is not working for me anymore. Let me tell you how I need you to show up in this relationship if this is going to work for me, right? And so we go back to even understanding it's a 1 year, right? And in a 1 year, because of the 2026, when you add it all together and it becomes a 1, it's also understanding that you have and are building this new beginning, this new relationship with yourself, but also with the people around you, right? And how to bring this so it's not interrupting your frequency. On the contrary, it's building upon your frequency to elevate you even higher. So it's interesting, and the reason why I'm bringing this up is because it's like being in a transaction, and you're gonna know this, and you're gonna feel into this when you've got, like several brokers, and then everybody is getting greedy, and everybody is like, at first everybody was gonna get 0.5%, let's say, right? Because you got all these brokers, 0.5%, then all of a sudden now one of them wants, no, I want 3% because it was my connection. It's like, and the moment the greed comes in, the transaction falls, right? It flaws, it falters, it doesn't go through, that transaction becomes null and void. Why? Because when we're being aware of the energy that could collapse a deal to that extent, even though it just seemed like everything was working out perfectly, that energy of greed coming in, that one person has to take more than everybody else, then that's it, it's over. And it's a very toxic energy, very similar to this energy that I get to see also when people are hiding from their partners that they're doing all of these things on the side, and then the partner has no idea. And, you know, for me to bring it up, it's like, no, if you're not being honest and transparent with your partner, then that transaction or that deal for you is not going to happen because you're being dishonest, right? And so helping you understand that as you're building, having some, listen, I understand that you both do different things and you both have, it's not like you're both in business together. That's even worse, right? When you're in business together and you're keeping your partner on the sideline, or you're not giving them all the information and they're not allowed to have an opinion or at least have a say-so, that becomes another problem, right? So, but where I'm going with all of this, and the reason why I feel like it's coming in so intentionally for you today, is so that you can be aware of having these very conscious conversations with your partner, right? And knowing that you want to do things as clean, as transparent, so that none of that muddles or none of that leaks into what you are building, right? Not again, like maybe she's not part of this with you, but keeping it away, or keeping, then you're creating a double life, right? There's that. Remember that everything that you're doing, because you are human, right? And what we all humans have is a soul, right? A heart. These are things that cannot be duplicated by any machine, by any computer. That pulse, right? That pulsation within you of that, because it's excitement, right? It's like, okay, but then there's those nerves, right? That, oh wow. And what happens in that is that you take yourself to a situation when it didn't go so well, rather than going into a situation where you have had role play or you've had a conversation with somebody and it went very well, right? Because you've had a lot of those. You wouldn't have this job today if all of those interviews and all those conversations and being on the spotlight didn't go well for you. They did go very well for you, right? And that's why you're here. And it gave you leverage for them to understand that they had to bring you on board. Like they had no other choice, because you were such a great candidate for this position and for this role. So when you go in with, I deserve to be here, I am worthy of this, they already put me through the ringer, because I witnessed it, right? You were already, and you were placed through the ringer to get this opportunity. Rather than going into that fight, flight, energy, emotion, nervous system, shutdown, you're not that person anymore. You've done so much work. And so part of what I'm hearing also as you're stepping into this dynasty frequency, this expansion, is that you've earned this because of all that you've invested in yourself to be here. So to think for a moment, or just have that glimpse of a minute, that you're going to go back to who you were in that moment when you had that kind of a boss, right? Or when you were in an energy that was so displaced, right? I'm using the word very intentionally, so displaced to who you really are, and definitely to who you are now. They're saying it's inconceivable, right? That's the word that I'm getting. It's inconceivable. It's unnecessary to do that to yourself. So, and I love that you have your guidance, and I love that you heard and you felt that it's like, no, I'm just going to speak from the heart, because my heart is never going to fail me, right? Being in that energy of speaking from who you are is never going to fail you, because it's who you are. It's who got this job, right? And so, because they're taking you back now to that energy of transparency and just speaking from who you are, how you feel, how you got here, how you're so well liked, how people love you. And going from that is going to be very important for you, for even this kind of situation playing out in your life right now. So rather than just going to that one person who made it so difficult for you, what about all the people that you impress that love you? Like they meet you, it's like, oh my goodness, like I need to have coffee with her. Like she's that person. Something like, okay, thank you for that thought and that memory. I appreciate that coming to my awareness. However, right, transmute it, right? However, I choose to have the memories instead of how well liked I am, when I've gone through interview process, when I've gone through an interview process, when I, meet with clients, when I go networking, even the people that are here that have met me and want to have a more thorough conversation with me. So you get to lead these thoughts, these emotions, that energy, that no, like, yeah, that was that one role play, but I have all of these other access points that I can connect to instead of that negativity. You don't know how they're going to perceive you. You don't know, like, you don't know anything. Like, you just know that you have this job opportunity and it's kind of a sink or swim. Like, you either get it and you move into the next process, or you're told, no, it's okay. I'm not going to hire you. You're not really what we're looking for. But your guides knew, right? And your future self knew and knows that you were going to be going through this kind of an experience without it becoming or being what it used to be, or what role play represented for you before, right? So they're saying, I'm understanding that this role play is twofold, right? So this is how you're going to interpret the information and how you're going to answer the questions. But then there's also, for the person interviewing you and the person putting you through this experience, they're also they could also come in with this energy of, wow, I hate doing these. Like, this is very uncomfortable. I don't want to put anybody on the spot. So your comfort level of coming in from the heart is also going to be very comforting for them. So it's what they're asking you to do is to hold the energy for you, right, and for them, but to put into the field that it's going to be very collaborative, right? That the energy that you're coming into for this role play, instead of it being nerve-wracking, is if the class is failing the teacher's class, it's not necessarily on the students only. It's on the teacher for not being able to bring the information in with clarity, bring the information in to understand that her students, or their students, his students, are capturing the information that they need so that they can succeed. So the lack of success in this role play, rather than you placing it all on yourself, you're also allowing the person that is conducting the role play to hold their energy and their experience in doing this, right? Because what I'm hearing is that stepping into this dynasty frequency, being this potential family office, family business owner, founder, CEO, CIO, whatever those roles are in your future, you want to allow the other person to also be kept accountable for their role. So it's not just falling on you. So for example, in our family office, I know my role is to bring in the relationships. That's where I'm solid. Can have a conversation, can open it up, and then I step back and I allow Katrina to step into the finance aspect of our conversation. And that's where she shines, right? So it's learning how to shine and allowing the other person to shine their light and be their most outstanding leader self, so that you're not carrying it for everybody. Because you're going into this role play, and I know it sounds like, it may sound like, this is minor in comparison to running a family office, but how you do one thing is how you do everything. So it's really allowing other people to hold themselves accountable. Like, the person coming in to role play you better be a good role player, right? Or a good person to interview, as they're stepping in and doing their best, right? You're allowing them to do their best so that you can be your best. How this whole one-sided conversation, which is what they were pulling us into earlier, the importance of being able to have a partner or have partners or people in your life that you can throw off ideas with and listen and reciprocate, right? And so you're also practicing this at home. You're practicing this in your partnership, but you're also practicing at home with your family. And remember, before it was one way or no way, right? It was my way or the highway. And you really backed out of having that kind of relationship where now it's like, no, now it's collaborative. And if it's not collaborative, or it's not going to go collaborative, or it's not going to be collaborative, it's not going to go that way, then I'm just going to remove myself. I'm just not having that conversation. Right? So you see in the different areas of your life where you're already having that balance does not necessarily include the heart, right? It's more of a schedule. It's like, okay, I'm going to work out from 9 to 10, and then, from here, like, I'm going to balance my day. I'm going to balance, I'm going to work for 5 hours, and then I'm going to be off for 5 hours, and that's, your 10-hour day schedule. But they're taking you deeper today, that there's this inner balance within you. Listen, you may work 30% that day and need 70% off to your day, to you, because that's what's going to bring you inner harmony. And then there's going to be another day that you completely on, and you're going to work 10 hours that day. And then you're going to come back to, you got 20%, off for yourself. And then that's good, because they're saying that the work-life balance is not consistently across the board, because it throws off, it's off balance. So the life balance that they're asking you to put together for yourself is not consistent every day. It's not the same every day. It's like saying, you know what, I'm not working, or I'm taking Saturday and Sunday off, because to be in harmony with myself, I need to know that I'm not checking emails on Saturday or Sunday. Or part of me being in harmony with myself is that on Sunday afternoon, I'm going to make sure that I've got on my calendar, I don't know, my invites or whatever, my email is ready to go. So when I step in on Monday, I know that my client is going to be ready for me to come in and have that meeting with them. So that brings you peace, right? So harmony is peace, but they're using the word harmony and harmonious rather than balance. Then work-life balance, they're asking for you to find inner harmony. And doing it that way, that was the intensity. That's what needed to happen. And then you felt so accomplished, and then you were able to go on your vacation, right? So they're saying the same thing, because what they're pointing out for you today is that work-life balance is too linear. It's a box, right? And you don't like boxes. We don't like boxes. Right. And so more than anything, it's being intentional with yourself, that this inner harmony is really where the balance happens within you. Right? And everybody's different, right? Everybody is different. But your guides really want you to pay more attention, or pay close attention to exactly what happened yesterday. And that was fine. And not beating yourself up. It's like, nope, that's what I needed. That's what my soul, going back to your conversation with yourself, that's what my soul needed yesterday. That's what my body, my physical body was just needed to relax more, needed to take a break, needed more me time. And that holds the frequency of being able to expand yourself into how you're going to be balancing this life of working, right, and putting these hours in, and then setting up whatever else you're going to do on the side, or however else you're going to step into your investor role, and then your home life. They're giving you all of these tools and all of these different messages of not being transient, but I'm also hearing that there's this level of transparency within yourself. So this goes back to know thyself, right? Knowing yourself so well that, you know, maybe Monday is a light day. Maybe Monday, you know now, right? 'Cause today's Tuesday. Maybe Monday is a lighter day. Maybe Monday is when you're scheduling all your meetings, right? Maybe Monday is a paperwork day. And then you hit the ground running Tuesday to Wednesday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Tuesday through Thursday. And that's when you're out and about. And then Friday is, okay, now it's a recap, like it's, you know, getting emails out, it's sending out, you know, thank you notes, whatever that is, right? So you're positioning yourself in you still leading, right? Leading this process and not getting lost in the process. Scheduling yourself according to how you feel and according to the energy as well, not just, oh, it makes sense, this is how I have to do it, because that won't set you up to feeling successful. Doesn't mean that you're not going to be successful. It's just that the feeling of feeling successful also comes with that balance, with that harmony, with that serenity, with that inner peace, that you're not losing yourself to this job for this paycheck or for that bonus or for that client list that needs to be built out. And but this is in the energy of harmony. This is not the rat race, right? The rat race is 60 out. It's like 60. It's something. It kind of duplicates this number because we go back to quality versus quantity, is what they're saying. That's the energy of, so that you have a respite, so that that you're breathing through this and not gasping for air.